Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good evening, Facebook, and welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide, and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. I hope everyone has had a fantastic day and you're winding your days down. And I know some of you are just starting your day if you happen to be in maybe the Netherlands, or if you happen to be in New Zealand, or maybe in New Zealand, I think it's like midnight there, or if you happen to be in Scotland. Hey, Deanne. Deanne, when you come up, it says top fan. I wonder why that says. You too, Lisa, top fan. Ashley, you too, top fan. Isn't that interesting? You guys like have the like top star. Kirsten, you too. I have all these top fan devotees that pop up on the screen. That's pretty cool. Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about what happens to dads when they get stressed. And I did my 60-second parenting on Instagram, and Deanne says, "'Cause we're awesome." Yeah, of course. I did my 60-second parenting on Instagram, and it was about the role of dads. And one of my lesbian couples that follow us, she said, well, because I mentioned dads wrestling with their kids, and she said, well, I'm the wrestler in my family. That's perfect. We'll get to wrestling. So you have to make adjustments as it fits your personality and family. And, Big Papa loves everybody, so there's never any gender bias or any of that kind of business going on here. We just figure out how to create more love where there's been fear. So that being said, tonight's episode is what happens to dads when they become stressed. And this is really important. Kirsten says it's 1:40 at night. That means it's 1:40 in the morning? Yeah, I'm thinking 1:40 in the morning. Wow, you're a night owl. I'd be almost getting up if it was another hour or two, Kirsten. So here's something we don't oftentimes understand about men. So men have a real unconscious desire and drive to make sure everyone is okay. And when everyone in the home is not okay, a very interesting thing begins to happen. Most people attribute men to becoming angry or he's even aggressive. But that's actually not the dynamic. When a man becomes stressed out and overwhelmed and he starts to feel helpless, actually what he will do is he will start to withdraw. And the more helpless and overwhelmed he feels, the more he withdraws. And then what happens is usually mom will sense the withdrawal, the children sense the withdrawal, and then they start to demand more from dad. Well, dad's already overwhelmed, he's stressed out, but he doesn't communicate it because as boys growing up, we grew up that we had to be able to fix everything, we had to be able to make everything okay, and we ultimately had to be the keepers of the peace and the calm. And if we are unable to do that, then we are failing in our role, which means we are failing as men, which means we are failing as people, as a individual, which means we are at risk of dying, which is what it all comes back down to. And so what happens is men withdraw, and then when everyone else starts to sense their withdrawal, then we start to demand more from them, and then in their overwhelm and in their helplessness, they get backed into a corner, and then they come out roaring. And then we want to refer to them to anger management. And what we don't realize is that a man's anger only comes when he's reached the precipice of overwhelm and helplessness and stress. He's not just walking around angry all the time. In fact, he's not even angry. Now, you may label it as angry, and especially operating inside the matrix, we label it as anger, but it is not anger at all. It is helplessness. Men feel afraid and they feel helpless, and then not only can they not keep their family safe, but now they cannot keep themselves safe. So it becomes very much this evolutionary survival emotional dynamic that goes on with them. And if that cycle continues, that's what leads to a lot of addictive behaviors that dads and husbands will oftentimes start to exhibit, like watching TV for long periods of time. You want to know why your husband goes to work and comes home and lays on the couch and watches TV and eventually falls asleep. It's because it is an addiction. He is seeking an external attempt to soothe an internal state. The same thing, if you think about just for the male physiology, male hormones, when we hit 30, our natural testosterone levels start to drop and our estrogen increases. When men are responsible for children, not only for their wives, but for their children also, and they hit 30 and their testosterone starts to drop, the more they are in the home, the more engaged they become in the family, the higher their estrogen levels start to rise. And the higher their estrogen levels start to rise, the more sensitive they become. Well, what they're also doing in that moment is they're trying to fight against the fact that they have all of this conditioning and they still have all this testosterone that tells them that they're supposed to be the protectors and supposed to be able to make everything okay. But really there becomes a hormonal imbalance. So the estrogen gets too high. They don't have as much energy. They don't have as much aggression. They don't have as much desire, sexual desire. And what they have more of is more sensitivity. They have more sensitivity. They have more emotion, and that completely contrasts against everything inside the matrix as it is defining men. The matrix has done more to create conflict in homes than anything else, because the matrix has defined men a certain way. Man, being a man who was raised inside of the matrix, not only did I grow up in the country in a real men environment, but I grew up with the messages that men don't cry, that you spank your kids and you dominate and you're always the alpha and the omega. The buck stops with you. And so as you become an adult, and then as you have children, and then as you surpass the age of 30 and your testosterone starts to drop naturally and your estrogen starts to go up, you have all this conditioning in the matrix that tells you that you're supposed to behave like this testosterone-driven man. But then you have all these environmental and hormonal experiences that tell you don't feel that way. And so then there's a lot of conflict that occurs, and then we start to withdraw. So men have a tendency at that level to move more towards depression, more towards withdrawal. They sleep a lot more, and it doesn't have to be a mystery. It doesn't have to be a mystery at all. In all the years that I've worked with couples and worked with families, the dad is bar none the most sensitive individual in the family. Oftentimes more sensitive than the traumatized child. But you know how many people tune into dad's emotions? Do you know how many people tune into his sensitivity? No one. Because he's dad. So we don't tune in. We're not aware. We don't seek to nurture. We look to him as the person who's supposed to always take care of everything. And he grew up in an environment. He grew up within a matrix style conditioning that says he's supposed to take care of everything. So see, we all look at him as this ultimate figure in the family. And when he can't figure it out, he will only try to the degree that his window of tolerance can withstand the stress, and then he starts to shut down. And then he starts to withdraw. And then as he's doing that, and we start to get more, we start to sense his abandonment. We start to sense his lack of interest. We start to sense his inability to be present to the family and seemingly to even care. And it's not that he doesn't care. It's just that we sense that he doesn't because he's withdrawing. And then what happens is we go after him. And when you go after him and you go after him consistently, it's, we need you, I need you in this family, I need you in this family, why aren't you doing this? I need more, I need more, I need more. You're eventually going to back him into a corner, and then he's going to come out roaring. And that's what we label as aggression. And that's when we say, you need to go to anger management. The reality and the truth is that your husbands, in the dynamics of your home where you have traumatized, stressed out children and you're living in a traumatized, stressed out environment, your husbands are overwhelmed and they are scared and they are oftentimes sad and they do not share their feelings because they don't want to put more on you. They don't want to put more on you because they already feel guilty for not being able to make everything okay. They don't mean to emotionally abandon, but they don't know what else to do. They don't come from a society that has equipped them with an understanding for how to communicate their emotions. They don't come from a society that has equipped them with an understanding and an acceptance of crying, of being sad, of being soft. Bruce Lee spoke a lot about being soft like water. Water is the softest substance that exists, yet it is the hardest. With enough time, water can break down any substance. But in our society, from within the matrix, men are not allowed to be soft. And I have said for years and years and years and years and years, your children do not need to experience you as hard. Your children do not need to experience you as a threat. They need to experience you as someone who is soft, someone who is gentle, someone who's nurturing, someone who's not willing to hurt them, not willing to strike out at them, someone who is willing to put their head down and maybe take a seat when they're upset. But see, we have so much matrix-style parenting that tells us that you're not supposed to do that as a man. You're supposed to stand up to your child. You're supposed to rough them up if you need to. You're supposed to fix things. You're supposed to handle your business like a man handles his business. So you got all that conditioning that doesn't allow you to be soft. And then your children end up being afraid of you. And then you end up losing a relationship, and then you end up more sad. You end up feeling more shame. What your children need oftentimes, and what your spouse needs, and now I'm talking to both dads, but I'm also talking to moms, because dad, what your children need is they already know you're strong. They already know how tough you are. That's not even a question. A child can look at their father and they see strength because they have natural respect. They feel it. They need to experience you as being able to be gentle. They need to experience you as being able to be emotional. They need to experience you as being able to be nurturing. Because when you're able to provide that to your child, what you end up doing is you create a balance for them. You create a balance where you have this aggressive energy and this sensitive energy. You don't have one outside of the other. You have a balance. And when you can create that balance for your children, it creates optimal safety and security. Now, moms, what your husbands need you to know is that they are doing the best they can, but they don't know what else to do. They need a rub on the head just like they were little boys. They need a hug and a gentle touch and voice that says, I believe in you. And I know how stressful this is. And I know you've got feelings that you're not sharing with me. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Your husband does not believe that anyone can accept his feelings. He believes his feelings are so big that no one in the home can accept them. That's why he doesn't share them. But let me tell you where that comes from. That comes from growing up, from boys growing up into men and growing up around men who said your feelings are sissies. If you're having feelings, you're being a sissy. If you're having feelings, you're being a little girl. Real men don't cry. Real men don't have feelings. They suck it up. Real men don't even have pain. They injure themselves. They break a finger, break an arm, break a wrist. Hell, they just duct tape it. That's what real men do. So they've got all of this conditioning that says they cannot be sensitive. So there's a fear, a real fear, in sharing how they feel with you, because they have all this matrix conditioning that says it's not okay. Now, I want you, Mom, I want you to see through that. I want you to see through that. And I want you to tell your husband, I need your feelings. Not only do I need them, but I want them. You are the most important person to me. More important than anyone else. And it's okay for you to be sad and stressed and scared, because I'm not a wimp. Don't let your husbands believe that you're wimpy. You are, in fact, the strongest person in the house, Mom. But you need that support. If you are married, and I've had single parents before tell me they were happy to not be married because it's easier doing it by themselves. And if that's your perspective, I'm grateful for it, and I'm glad you're where you're at. That's wonderful. But if you are married, and to me, it doesn't matter if it's a mom and a dad, a mom and a dad, a mom and a dad. It doesn't matter. It's 2 women, 2 men, and a man and a woman. Big Papa doesn't judge. You need that person's feelings. You need them. You need that open communication. You need that stress and that frustration. You need that anger, and you need to not fix it. It's not about fixing it. It's about encouraging the expression of it, the sharing of it, the opening up of it. Because if you can't open up at that level, then you're going to be operating in one place and they're going to be operating in another place. And when that happens, you guys are going to be on different pages. So, Dad, your children need you to be fully present in the home, and your wife needs you to open up and share your feelings. There's nothing to be afraid of. The best thing you can do to honor yourself and honor your children and honor your wife is cry. Have your feelings. Be sad when you feel sad. Learn to express your emotions in a healthy way, not to shut down. Not to wait until you're cornered and then you come out angry. Learn to communicate them. Learn to talk to your children. Learn to hold your children in your arms and tell them how much you love them, and be sad for the things that they've suffered, and to be able to do the same for your wife. I believe the single most important thing any man can do in a home, in a family, is support Mom. That's what I believe is the single most important thing. I've been divorced twice. I've got 2 children. I have 2 children by 2 wonderful women. My oldest daughter's mother has passed away. But my youngest daughter's mother, you all know her because she runs the Post+Institute. But the most important thing to me has always been to support the mothers of my children. To always let them feel that they are loved and supported. Now, the mothers and I may not have been able to work out our marriage and our relationships, but that doesn't stop the fact that we're parents. And that doesn't stop the fact that I still give as much emotional support as I possibly can, because the mother to my child is the most important person in her life. And if I'm stressing out Mama, then I'm going to be stressing out my own child. And why would I want to do that? Why would you want to do that? And there's so many divorced men that become assholes to their wives, to the mothers of their children. It makes no sense to me. Grow up. Stop being a wounded adolescent. Love the woman. Even if you couldn't love the woman as your wife, love the woman as the mother of your children. It makes no sense to be mean to the mother of your children, because if you're stressing out the mother of your children, then you are stressing out your children. And what kind of man does that make you? They're almost better off without you, if you can't do any better than that. So guys, step up, let go, open up. And it probably wouldn't hurt to go get your testosterone levels checked. There are a lot of good medical solutions out there these days to help men with their testosterone. You got diet, you got stress, and you got just aging. All have an impact on your hormone levels. There's a lot of natural things you can do. I was on hormone replacement a couple years ago. I was on testosterone. I enjoyed it. It made me feel great. I was also under a lot of stress. And now I'm not on it anymore, and I'm stronger than I was when I was on it. So it could sometimes just be the stress you're under. And what really helps with the stress is just letting it go. Dad, Big Papa loves you. You're a Big Papa too, to somebody. You're somebody's Big Papa. I believe in you. I had a good daddy that raised me. He was a strong man. He was a good man. And he always loved my mama. And he always loved us. And I want you to do the same for your children and for your wife. Moms, don't give up on your husbands. Fight for them. When they're scared and sad and overwhelmed, fight for them. They need your support. They need your love. Remember, guys, in any given situation, we always have two choices. We can continue to react from the same conditioning and imprints of stress and fear, or we can stop. We can take 3 to 10 deep breaths. We can slow down, and we can choose love. We can choose love. God bless each and every one of you, and bless your households. I pray for every one of you every single night. And every single night, I hope that when you lay your heads down at night, that the cells of your bodies relax and release the stress and the trauma that you've been carrying for generations. You are carrying generations of stress and trauma. No one in your lineage has showed up here to do the work that you're doing. And they haven't because they weren't strong enough to do it, but you are. So I pray to the good Lord that your cells release that stress and that you wake up in the morning refreshed, re-energized, reinvigorated, and most of all, restored. And ready to make tomorrow another amazing day. Good night, everyone. Big Papa loves you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.